We are on Randall's Island tonight at the historic Icon Stadium, where a pair of sides look to continue their playoff push in the Eastern Conference of MLS Next Pro. It's NYCFC 2, a squad that finds itself in the top four against an Atlanta United 2 side fresh off its most thrilling victory of the season. A big one in the East here on MLSNextPro.com. We say hello and welcome to the Big Apple. Sam Goldfarb here to kick off Matchweek 26 of MLS Next Pro. It's a New York City side looking to solidify itself in the top four of the Eastern Conference standings. An Atlanta side that sits on the outside looking in of the playoff hunt, but plenty of time to make up ground in the home stretch of the 2024 campaign. Well, speaking of that Eastern Conference, it is a gridlocked East. Here is your look at the Eastern Conference standings. We have mentioned New York currently sitting in the top four, but there's only 5 points that separate them from ninth place Chattanooga. So with 5 games remaining, all results still very important for a side that could find itself at the top of the table in a couple weeks' time or on the outside looking in. Meanwhile, Atlanta, it's been a nice push up from the Eastern Conference cellar, but again, they don't have a lot of margin for error. 7 points separate them from the top 8. Only 5 matches remaining to make a difference here. Both teams are aware of the implications of all of the fixtures going forward, especially between Eastern Conference foes, where one result for you directly impacts another. New York, though, not many changes from last week. We will take a look at Matt Pilkington's 11 right now. Just 3 alterations. Taylor Calera returning to the 11 for the second consecutive match. He is their leading scorer with 16 goals in all competitions this year. And a Camille Azam Ruiz anchoring the front line once again. He has been the go-to option up front of late for Matt Pilkington. The big adjustment, though, Luis Barraza, the first-team goalkeeper who fell out of the 11 this year, making his second Next Pro appearance of the season, wearing the number 1 kit. You don't often see that in MLS Next Pro, especially. On the other side of things, for Atlanta United 2, well, Steve Cook mentioned that there would be changes. 6 to be precise, from last week's 4-3 victory over Chattanooga. And 3 new first-teamers enter the fold, including up front in the form of Tyler Wolff. He's joined by Edwin Mosquera and Noah Cobb, the 3 new additions. He said this would be a senior side. He knows they need results. The first-team squad does not have a match this week. It provides a golden opportunity to get some of the lesser-used and younger first-team players into the side. Anchoring things between the sticks, though, Jaden Hibbert has been untouchable of late, the 19th overall pick. Well, we are just about set to get things underway on Randall's Island in New York City. We are waiting for the teams to take the pitch and get set here. New York, a team that has won just 1 of its last 6 matches, which, if you know anything about this New York side, it's quite surprising, especially considering the goals have flown in aplenty. But Matt Pilkington says he's still been pleased with his squad's efforts over that stretch. It's just been a lapse here and a lapse there that has prevented draws from turning into victories. Atlanta, they snapped a 3-match winless run on Sunday. It was a 4-3 victory against Chattanooga, in which they scored twice in the final 6 minutes and stoppage time. We've mentioned it is tight across the board in MLS Next Pro. Let's take a look at the other side of things. In the Western Conference, it's also pretty gridlocked. 2 teams have clinched their spots. North Texas and St. Louis both are playoff teams, but still playing for seeding at this point. What gets interesting is the battle around the playoff line. You see, there's pretty considerable separation between the top 6 and the rest of the fold. But then when you get to 7, 8, 7 through really 11, anyone could claim a playoff spot at this stage effectively. What's interesting is Dynamo Dos, a team that opened the year 5 matches winless, finds itself now in the top 8. What a recovery from Kenny Bundy's side. Meanwhile, Timbers 2 they have lagged a bit, as have Sporting KC too, a team that was regularly in the top 4 for the bulk of this season, now finds itself on the outside looking in. One of the more dynamic attacks in Next Pro somehow finds itself outside the top 8 with 5 matches remaining for every team in the Next Pro slate. Well, that is your look at the bigger picture of MLS Next Pro. It is more gridlocked in the East, a lot more potential for fluctuation in the table. Although once you get 7 through 11 in the West, things get very interesting. And the top 6 is by no means locked in just yet. Only 2 teams clinching their berths to the playoffs. Well, we've also mentioned in the East, things are tight. We'll get one more look at the conference standings here. Nobody has clinched in the Eastern Conference. In fact, 8 points separate 1 from 9. It has been a dogfight throughout the East all season long. There have been teams that have surged up the table. You've seen teams surge, fall down, so to speak. There have only been a couple teams largely out of the fold for the bulk of the year. Huntsville and New England have never really been a threat for the top 8. But you get your look around 6 through 12 especially, and things are very malleable in the table at this point of the season. Well, we are finally ready to kick things off from Icon Stadium. The referees trading pleasantries with the 2 captains, Taylor Calera and Javier Armas tonight. Calera captaining the side for one of the first times this season, the elder statesman on this young New York side. Meanwhile, Javier Armas, a 48th overall pick by Atlanta out of Oregon State, has donned the captain's armband for the bulk of this year. Just awaiting our referees to get things set. Stephanie McFarland is our lead official. Alexandra Fosea and Jennifer Dumaine, her assistants. Jonathan Luke, the 4th official tonight. A historic night for New York City FC 2, their first match at Icon Stadium. They will play a couple more before the season is done. They've spent the bulk of their campaign at Belson Stadium, the home of St. John's, but with the college soccer season now starting back up, availability has been scarce throughout the city. They play at a historic venue, one that housed Jesse Owens in the 1936 Olympic trials. He ran here before running in the Olympics and winning gold. Many other track stars have run here. It's a prominent venue for Olympic trials, namely Noah Lyles, the 100-meter dash gold medalist in this year's Olympic Games. A controversial figure at that among the sports community, although an American hero on the track. Has maybe angered a few NBA fans. Atlanta will get us underway. They are wearing their away kits tonight. It is a baby blue for Atlanta United 2, an alternate kit tonight. New York is in the white with black numbers. So for those who may be colorblind, it may be a difficult viewing experience for you. We will try to keep things as clear as possible. Atlanta usually donning that black with silver numbers. Not the case this evening on their away kits. We just await the referee's signal. Stephanie McFarland organizing the action. And finally, underway here from Icon Stadium in Randall's Island. New York looking to solidify its grip on the postseason. Atlanta looking to continue its playoff push. We thank you for joining us. Sam Goldfarb here, bringing you all of the action this evening between Atlanta United 2 and New York City FC 2. This is one of the first teamers for Atlanta in Edwin Mosquera. Shrugged off it immediately by Rosansky, who is penalized by McFarland for his early transgression. It's a lovely venue, this. A 5,000-seat stadium, a little bigger than Belson Stadium, where the Pigeons usually make their trade. The opening free kick taken short. And here is the return ball to the forward Tyler Wolf tonight. He was shrugged off it by Calera, deployed in a more attacking midfield role. It is a venue that was built to replace Downing Stadium. It was opened up in 1936 as part of the larger New York City Parks project. And again, a regular venue for the U.S. Olympic trials for track, the likes of Jesse Owens and Noah Lyles, two of the best Americans to ever running here for various track events throughout their respective careers. A legacy venue in the city of New York, one of many. Here is Alan Carlton, one of the young second-team talents that remains unaffected by all of the changes to the 11 this week. And here is Armas. Falls to Nick Firmino. The best 11 selection a year ago in MLS Next Pro. Arevalo. As a runner in support, it's Johnny Lopez playing out of his normal center back role. Well, talking to Matt Pilkington this week, he mentioned he was pleased with his side's spirit despite falling behind twice against Columbus Crew 2 on Sunday. Taylor Calera bagging a pair of equalizers to force penalties. New York was forced to settle for only a point though, fell on penalties, but a performance with considerable resilience nonetheless. Arevalo briefly losing his footing and may have run out of real estate on that near flank. He did say in past matches there has been concerns about clinging on to results, but despite winning only one of the last 6, he feels that performances have been positive. They've controlled matches well, and it's been slight lapses here and an occasional unfortunate bounce there that has cost them. And frankly, they haven't been damaged too much by it in terms of the table. Still 4th place entering tonight, and a potential to move level on points with Eastern Conference leaders FC Cincinnati 2 if all breaks right. Would have to dispatch of a resurgent Atlanta side though, one which was terrific in the closing stages of that Chattanooga match this past weekend. Here is Mosquera. Trying to link up with Dominic Chong-Kui, who manages to just keep it in play. Keep your eye on 50 in light blue tonight. A new addition at right back who has impressed Steve Cook considerably. He's been untouchable in the 11 the last month or so. Carlton into the path of Firmino. The shot took a deflection, and ultimately that alteration took the steam out of it, falling comfortably to Luis Barraza. See Firmino here, clattering it off of Rio Hope Gunt, and then comfortably into the palms of Barraza. On the other side of things for Atlanta, we've alluded to what was arguably the game of the year on Sunday. A 4-3 come-from-behind victory over Chattanooga FC, which doomed Chattanooga below the playoff line. A back-and-forth battle in which they fell behind 2-1 after taking an early advantage. Steve Cook said there were hard truths at halftime that he had to really deliver to many of his players on the pitch. Made alterations that he felt paid dividends. And despite falling back behind 3-2, it was a pair of late goals which made the difference, including a late winner from Timimi. Here is the cross in from Wolf and deflected out of play for Atlanta's first corner tonight. will be Mosquera who rushes over to take. A man who's been with Atlanta's first team since 2022 after joining from boyhood club Independiente Medellin in Colombia. Still recovering from a mid-June meniscus tear. This is just his second competitive game back. Outswinger comes in, and charged away. It's recovered well by Mosquera. Chongqui tries from afar, and it wasn't a bad effort. Not one that ultimately troubles Barraza, though. Lopez. And here is Arevalo. Calera's cross was a square ball that was charged away only as far as Lopez. It now falls to Calera. Rosansky. Arevalo, room to cross this. It's a brilliant one, and Azam Ruiz had a crack at it. Fortunately for Atlanta, it was a routine stop for Jaden Hibbert. New York beginning to break down Atlanta early. Some lapses on this cutback. Azam Ruiz unmarked. And Armas is very fortunate that that didn't trouble Hibbert more. There is your look at Atlanta's #1, Jaden Hibbert, the 19th overall pick in the 2024 MLS Super Draft. His 10th consecutive start entering tonight. Opened the year as a #2, but has impressed throughout his time with the 5 stripes, and now has the 4th most saves in MLS NEXT Pro. You'd figure if Atlanta is to get a result tonight, he may be under fire quite a bit. It is an Atlanta side that likes to play possession heavy, but New York is far more known for that. Lopez. And Mosquera is still prone on the deck. Azam Ruiz comes out to Piero Elias. Space to cross now for Locker. Elias driving forward, Locker in space. It nearly opened up for him for a moment, but snuffed out at the source. Elias. Early dominance from New York through the opening 10 minutes. Some half chances already presenting themselves as well. Will another come? Arevalo. Flashing cross and stabbed away for New York's first corner of the night. It will be an onslaught down the flanks. Arevalo and Locker both quality crossers of the ball, especially the former. A 5-assist season already to his name. He now stands over this outswinging corner kick. Cleared only as far as Locker. Stabbed out of trouble by Tyler Wolff, the man who leads the line tonight for Atlanta. Well, if you're just joining us, we welcome you into Icon Stadium, a historic venue in New York City on Randall's Island. New York City FC 2 and Atlanta United 2 meeting for the second and final time this year. A scoreless draw was our fate on May 3rd, in which Atlanta won the penalty shootout. It was a crucial multi-point day for Atlanta United 2 after frankly struggling to open the year. Since then, though, especially since the calendars flipped to summer, Atlanta has shown semblances of new life, salvaging a colossal 4-3 victory against a 9-man Chattanooga side last week in what was arguably the match of the season in MLS NEXT Pro. The winner scored by Kareem Timimi shortly after a pair of red cards were shown to Chattanooga players. A 96th minute dagger, which was effectively the final kick of the match. Lopez. It seemed he was outwit by Chong Kui. Our lead official tonight, Stephanie McFarland, blows her whistle for a free kick. Will be Aravalo to deliver. And enjoying a second consecutive productive season with New York. It swings into the heart of the area. It was a delivery that lacked accuracy. It found its way right into the path of an Atlanta player. Hope Gunt. And this is the top scorer, Calera, a man who's banged in goals for fun over the course of his debut professional campaign. Locker, surging towards the byline. And he does win his side yet another corner. Aravalo slowly getting target practice. This is his first opportunity to deliver a ball with in-swing tonight. Hooking towards the edge of the 6. Not only as far as Locker, the 16-year-old winger for New York tonight. Owusu. This is Piero Elias. Edwards ushering out of play. Well, a pair of coaches on opposite ends of the NEXT Pro experience spectrum. Matt Pilkington, his third year with New York City FC 2. Someone who's been with the New York City Academy system since 2016. Has spoken about how New York is his home. He loves the city, a great spot for him and his family. And New York has, the club itself, has been an excellent haven for him to develop talent. He was appointed ahead of the inaugural campaign, and last year, he finished just 1 point outside the postseason places. He attributed some of those struggles to an inconsistent defense. Says this year there's been far more focus on fine-tuning that and shoring that up, and the numbers suggest it. A back line that has gone from very troubled to a top 10 back line in the league. And the attack itself has been nothing short of fearsome. The joint most goals in MLS NEXT Pro with 48. An overzealous challenge from Nick Firmino sends it back New York's way. On the other side of things, you'll get a look at the bottom of your screen. Steve Cook is the man in charge of Atlanta United 2. It's been a busy week throughout the club, with alterations in the front office, and Atlanta earlier in the season firing its first team manager. Steve Cook rapidly becoming the longest tenured coach in the Atlanta United system. Someone who has emphasized the importance of youth development, has grappled with many of the first teamers graduating to the first team ranks this season from the second team. And as a result, they've effectively had to re-implement a preseason for a lot of the new additions. But he has been impressed by many of the young academy talents, namely Dominic Chong-Qui. Given his history in developing talent across the board, both in the MLS ranks and USL ranks, he knows a thing or two about developmental pathways in this country. Beyond the opening quarter of an hour, neither team has yet to properly trouble the opposing keeper. The question will become, how long is it a cagey affair, with both teams desiring 3 points? New York being at home and Atlanta needing every point it can get to surge into playoff contention. Arevalo. It's a loose ball, one that finds its way to Bryant. And Brennan lays it off. Firmino driving it across and headed home. Luke Brennan opening the scoring for Atlanta. Against the grain, but the Five Stripes lead. The 19-year-old first-teamer, excellent interplay with his first-team counterpart Firmino. And it's just a free header, unmarked, twists it to the back post, and opens the scoring 18 minutes in. A fourth goal of the season for Luke Brennan, the Atlanta native who ascended through the Atlanta United Academy ranks, now on a homegrown deal, and in his 10th start with the second team this year, adding another goal to his tally. Well, that certainly throws a spanner in the works for New York City, a team that had seemingly seized control of the run of play, but they've been caught out on the counter, and a lapse in the box costing them an early advantage. Azam Ruiz, won back by Carlton. Brennan made his MLS debut last year, spent the bulk of last season with the NEXT Pro outfit with 4 goals and 5 assists. And even opened this year, playing a lot with the second team. But he got his call up to the first team, especially around the turn of the season this summer, in late May, early June. And so he was an inconsistent feature for much of the summertime. He's been back in the second team fold more lately and making an immediate impact for Atlanta tonight. Their first proper chance nestled in the back of the net. Fans, this portion of the match is brought to you by St. John's University, the official undergraduate partner of New York City FC 2. They'll be hoping this portion of the match unfolds a bit more positively than the first did. An 18th minute opener from Luke Brennan, allowing Atlanta to draw first blood. Arevalo, clever footwork here, and space to roam now. Dislodged by Chong-Qui. Well, the first goal scored this year between these two teams comes via a somewhat unlikely source. Elias. Owusu. Far more aggressive approach now from Matt Pilkington's side. Side that will have to rediscover the resilience it displayed at Crew 2 last weekend, overcoming multiple one-goal deficits to force penalties. Otherwise, it could become a very challenging weekend for the boys in blue. Team that entered tonight in the top 4, but only 5 points separating themselves from the 9th spot. For a New York team that finished 1 place outside the playoffs a year ago, we will not want to leave it up to chance as we rapidly approach the final day. Comes a month from today, decision day. Hope Guns overcooking it for Stevo Bednarski. Chonkwi has been a somewhat difficult start to New York's first game at Icon Stadium. Team that features here for the first time in its history. They close out their final 2 home matches at Belson Stadium, although there is a clear intention for them to play more at this park. Elias, Azam Ruiz, and still Azam Ruiz, loose in front of the area. Arevalo driving it over the line. New York level. And just like that, the early Atlanta advantage neutralized. It's a question of whether Arevalo gets credit. He's certainly claiming it, but it was his effort which led to the equalizer. Azam Ruiz's shot deflects in his path. He just runs it over the goal line. Noah Cobb was there trying to force it out. So was Matt Edwards. But Arevalo, as of now, is the man credited with the equalizer. 23 minutes gone. All square here at Icon Stadium. As things stand, Arevalo receiving credit in the stadium as well. That would be his 6th goal of the season. And that will certainly ease a fair few nerves in this stadium. A New York team that did not want to be trying to break down a low block for the entirety of the 90 minutes. Goals for Brennan and Arevalo, a pair of right wingers on the pitch, both playing on the right flank. Have us in our current 1-1 state. Armas, and Brennan was offside. Beyond the midway point of this first half, still all to play for. New York flashing that resilience it showed last week to overcome a multitude of 1-goal deficits. And when you look at the live table, as of now, that would keep them in 4th, although many teams, of course, playing matches this weekend. It's not all said and done by any means after these 90 minutes. Mosquera, and claimed confidently by Barraza. Lopez. Arevalo, the most recent goal scorer. And receiving it back, Ronald Arevalo to the byline. The deflection took the sting out of it that time. Calera. Always a dangerous threat in the midfield. The ball to Arevalo, slightly overcooked. When you look at both these clubs, a unique history. Atlanta, a side that dates back to the early days of the USL Championship. A second team that has been affiliated with Atlanta United for quite some time, but they made the move to MLS NEXT Pro ahead of last year. We're left on the outside looking in at the end of the 2023 campaign, finishing the year in 10th. Well, for New York, we mentioned a point out in its second season as a competitive outfit. They were established with the intention of competing in MLS NEXT Pro prior to the league's inaugural season 2 years ago. Matt Pilkington has overseen rapid development in terms of the side's competitiveness. It has yet to guide them into the NEXT Pro playoffs. There's your look at the goalkeeper, Luis Barraza. At 27 years of age, it's just his second NEXT Pro start of the year. Someone who has spent the bulk of this season as the first team backup, but with the first team not playing a match, an opportunity to get game time with New York City FC 2. The usual starter, Alex Rando, not in the fold for a considerable period of time before returning last week, and his backup, Will Meyer, is on the bench tonight. Someone who Matt Pilkington has said has been relatively impressive. Mosquera's onside, and there's no one to run onto the cutback. Elias awaiting reinforcements. Calera, and this is the goal scorer, Arevalo, with room to cross. It's an inviting one that hooks up well beyond the head of Julian Locker. Fans, this portion of the match is brought to you by Adidas, the official kit supplier of New York City FC 2. The half-hour mark beckons. Goals from Luke Brennan and Ronald Arevalo on either side, 5 minutes apart, are what have us at a 1-1 stalemate at this current moment. A positive start from New York. They were caught against the grain of play, much like they were on multiple occasions last week at Columbus. But responding rapidly, much like they did last week in Columbus. Owusu. Calera. Crafty. And nearly sprung free to Owusu. Space for Mosquera to surge. And Chong Kui winning the foot race. What a tackle that was from Johnny Lopez. Johnny Lopez just tracking him down. It seemed he was beaten. Timed the tackle to perfection. A loose pass towards Calera, who wins it back off Chong Kui. This is Ronald Arevalo, one of many academy products who have ascended through the youth ranks and earned himself a professional contract. Matt Pilkington talks about there's an emphasis on youth with this second team. It is more about developing players in the academy than anything else and getting them to a first team level. Calera wrested away towards Brennan. He's just unable to keep that in play. But in New York, it is a club structure predicated on giving young lads a chance. It's why you see a number of 16-year-olds in the lineup with regularity. Johnny Lopez at 17 years old. There are many different ways for coaches to look at this league, be it teenager development and young players in their early 20s development versus players on the fringes of the first team looking to get game time. New York rarely brings down established first team players to play with the second team. Meanwhile, Atlanta, it's something that Steve Cook is definitely not shy about doing. Case in point tonight, right? 3 new first teamers in the 11. There's definitely an age gap between these two sides this evening. Rosansky, the elder statesman of New York at 28 years of age. And one back by Wolf. No whistle from the referee either. Has some runners as well. This is Tyler Wolf. Rosansky read the cross to perfection. Snuffed out immediately thereafter by Locker. Calera. Arevalo. Calera again. Always dangerous when his feet touch it. 13 Next Pro goals to his name. 16 across all competitions. And Nizam Ruiz, the former Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference Golden Boot winners, fouled. It has been a slightly stop-start affair, this. New York's been at its best when they can pin Atlanta deep in their own half. Atlanta's been at their best when their wingers can run into space on the counter. In many ways, these two styles have been a match made in heaven tonight, despite Atlanta being forced to depart from its usual possession-heavy approach. Arevalo lays this off, and it's a training ground routine at that. Here's his cross. Was an inviting one, but charged away with aplomb by the Atlanta back line. Fans, this portion of the match is brought to you by Etihad Airways, the official airline partner of New York City FC 2. Rapidly approaching the business end of this first half. Another corner for Arevalo and company. Outswinger, too much hand fighting in the box, and Calera's effort rolled tamely to Hibbert. Locker, one of the teenagers in the fold tonight for New York City FC 2. This is Lopez. Arevalo at the center of all the controls tonight. And in space now, Ronald Arevalo. He cut back, charged away by Noah Cobb. But once again, the 21-year-old causing havoc on the right flank. He's been at the center of every bit of interplay. They played the dummy to perfection, and Arevalo, the pass takes him a bit wide, so he's forced to cut it back. Perhaps frustrated with himself, and he's unable to outwit the oncoming Noah Cobb. Another corner, though, without swing this time. First match of match week 26 in MLS Next Pro. A busy weekend ahead, running from Friday through Sunday. Just 5 matches remain for the bulk of the clubs in the league. So much to play for so many outfits. Bednarski. Clattered down to the deck. The referee's unmoved. Elias. Owusu. Calera. Receiving it back. Wanted to link up with Azam Ruiz. Was unable to do so, though. Carlton. And Steve Cook says he would beg to follow him anywhere as a coach. Squirted back routinely to Barraza. Here's Lopez. Charged away by Chongqui. And an awkward clearance here from Barraza. First yellow card finally brandished. Likely for dissent after the whistle. It is Edwin Mosquera, who's been a promising force so far for Atlanta United 2. The first man on either side to be booked tonight. It's his first start since returning from that meniscus tear that occurred on June 15th. The match against Houston Dynamo. Has made one sub-app with the first team since. But this is a chance for him to build his minutes up. Azam Ruiz. With support ahead as well. Elias. Arevalo. Room to cross. So far, it seemed as New York has established real estate around the penalty area, the attacks have started to slow. Perhaps an aura of tentativeness amongst the players on the front line. Although this set piece could change that narrative in a rapid hurry. Taken quickly. Calera! The referee allowed them to play on, somewhat surprisingly, and you would have fancied Calera to hit this one a bit better. It's cleverly done here from New York. Arevalo just gets up. All of the heads are turned for Atlanta, and Calera's just unable to keep his shot down. A man in scorching hot form with 3 goals in his last 2 matches. Somehow not troubling Hibbert with an effort of that nature. Carlton. And a loose challenge on Firmino draws the referee's whistle. Our lead official, Stephanie McFarland's been busy tonight. A fair few borderline card-worthy offenses in terms of the challenges. And she will show a card for this particular transgression. Did appear to be a ferocious one that stymied the counter. The yellow is shown to the right back, Johnny Lopez, who has otherwise put forth a sound shift at right back so far. The first New York man in the referee's book. Final 5 minutes of the first half. All square still. Chongqui. Charging forward. He's brought down just outside the area. And a free kick in a very inviting spot, this. There was no real question whether this occurred in the box. It was clearly outside it, but very close. And an aggressive challenge for Lopez, given that he's already on a yellow. But given that the first challenge was borderline, you'd figure they'd let him skate on the second. Either way, an effective makeshift corner setup here. Tyler Wolf stands over it. Is there late drama before intermission? Tries it low and clattering it comfortably off the legs of Azam Ruiz. It will yield Atlanta a corner. Armas taking it short. Mosquera. Crafty. A dangerous ball, and one that found Firmino's head. It floated mercifully over the crossbar. Decent training ground routine this. The cross has plenty of arc to it. Firmino getting underneath it far too much for a cross that was floated. No real trouble in the end for Peraza. Final 2.5 minutes of the initial 45. And then it is all at the fourth official's discretion in terms of added time. A half with notable chances both ways. Atlanta opening this scoring in the 18th minute through Luke Brennan, and then 5 minutes later, Ronald Arevalo, the man credited with the equalizer, just rushing it over the goal line in the 23rd. Since then, we've sat at a stalemate, with both teams creating eyebrow-raising opportunities since. Firmino has support in the form of Chong Kui and opts to use him. First time cross. Stays low, and Armas had a crack. Again, though, it won't properly trouble Barraza. Final minute of the initial 45. Hearing word it will be 2 minutes of added time from the fourth official. Seems fitting given the pair of goals, but not too many prolonged stoppages. First ever match at Icon Stadium. There have been positives and negatives so far for New York City too. Calera. Picking out Lopez. Rosansky, and not quite on the same wavelength as Arevalo. It's a New York side that looks the more cohesive of the two units. You're seeing the understanding between Arevalo and many of his midfield counterparts. That last interchange, not the best example of that. They've been able to boss possession as a result and control the match with their pressing, something that Matt Pilkington looks to do on the regular. Atlanta, on the other side, has had their bright moments, but they do look the part of a side that made 6 changes from last week. Still seem to be finding their footing as a collective entity at this current moment. 2 minutes are confirmed. That is what separates us from halftime on Randall's Island. Perhaps time for one foray forward for both of these sides. Though New York seems content to get in a halftime level. Over the top ball towards Calera. It's chested out of trouble. Goalkeeper off his line. And Calera nearly catching him out from afar. A floated effort that didn't just stay down. And a sigh of relief from Atlanta. It's risky from Hibbert, who has no real play at this. And if Calera can weight this chip just slightly better, New York may have found a second. For the moment, it appears Atlanta's dodged that bullet. Was that the final chapter of this first half? Mosquera rushing ahead. Another well-timed tackle from Lopez. And we'll give Atlanta time to press the issue here, though. Carlton cleverly weighted into the path of Wolf, and the offside flag is raised. And that is what does it for the first half. Goals from Luke Brennan and Ronald Oravala leave us at a stalemate at intermission. A first half with chances both ways, but one that came to a close at the tail end of the opening 45 minutes in terms of the actual liveliness of the action. Our score of the half is New York 1, Atlanta 1. We will have highlights and first half stats coming up, and after the break, Michelle Montaigne sits down to chat with Chattanooga FC head coach Rod Underwood.
Dale pues, mamá ya, muévete más loco como solo tú sabes. Así es, con las manos en la cabeza, sacúdete, sacúdete, mira, sacúdete. Listen up, all eyes on me, I'll show you who you wanna be. Yeah, yeah, hey. Oh, wow, wow, wow. It's going down, down. You don't want to miss that. It's the new sound. It's the new sound. It's the new sound. Toda mi gente lo siente. 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 Toda mi gente caliente. Toda mi gente lo siente. Toda mi gente suena. En la favela suena. El techo se me llena. Toda mi gente lo siente.
We welcome you back to Icon Stadium, where at halftime, New York and Atlanta deadlocked at 1 apiece. Before we meet Chattanooga head coach Rod Underwood, we want to tell you about the upcoming MLS NEXT Pro newsletter. Sign up for it today.
Action.
Welcome into another edition of Coach's Corner. Today we are sitting down with Rod Underwood, the head coach of Chattanooga FC. Coach, thanks for making the time for us.
Oh, thank you for having me.
With this being your first year in MLS NEXT Pro, over halfway through the season, what has just been your overall impression of the league so far?
I think there's been a lot of impressions. So if we break it down in multiple facets off the field. I think facilities for the most part have been really very good. You know, how we're treated in the away games are really very good. At home, off the field is obviously fantastic for us. The crowd is unbelievable at home. The traveling crowd for us is fantastic. And then on the field, right, the competition's been really high. And we continue to get better and grow and learn and make sure we give ourselves the best chance to be competitive in every game.
You just touched on it, but being one of just 2 independent clubs, what has this supporters club meant to you guys your first year in MLS NEXT Pro?
Well, it means so much. I mean, without them, it's very difficult for our club to even exist. So the supporters are fantastic. On the road, they give us great energy. At home, they give us great energy. And we just really feed off of it. And we really want to make sure that we repay them for all the support they've had beyond the years that I've even been here.
You've gone off to a pretty good start with that this season. What has allowed you guys to come in and find success early?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just, you know, a focus and a desire really to perform at the highest level that we can. You know, one of the things that we talk about all the time is just being a little bit better, being 1% better every day and really working hard and really just focusing on us and trying to make sure that we do a really good job of accentuating each individual player's talents within the structure that we want to be successful with.
Now that we are getting into the latter stages of the regular season, knowing that the table is kind of making its way, what would you describe the mood and the day-to-day like between the players in the locker room?
Yeah, for us, it's 2 things, right? It's excitement, the opportunity to be playing, right? I mean, at the end of the day, a lot of us could be doing a lot of different things than showing up every day to train and coach and enjoy the city and enjoy the fans. That's a great honor to even be able to do that. So there's joy, there's excitement, but there's also business like that. Hey, you know, the table's tight. We know that every game matters. We know that every point matters. So we're, you know, keeping that joy and excitement and focus and workman's-like mentality.
So with all that in mind, what does success look like for you this season?
Success is many things, right? Success is how do we do on the field? How do we do off the field? How do we do with our players coming in and being successful? And how do we do with the support of the fans and making the city grow and really just bringing new fans, bringing new supporters, and really going as far as we can in the league.
All right, last one for you. Coach, what has made you the most proud of this team so far this year?
I think there's 2 things. I think number 1, the fans, the support, the city, the ability that we can come out every day, express ourselves, and express the way that we want to play football. But also, I would say, just the relentlessness of the individual players to come out and really perform every day in training and really look to be better in every game.
Awesome. Well, I can say from that very first game in Chattanooga to now, you guys have been so much fun to watch. Your supporters have meant so much to the league. Thank you so much for your time, and hopefully we'll be seeing you soon again in person.
All right, thank you for having me.
Toda mi gente lo siente, toda mi gente lo siente, toda mi gente lo siente, y toda mi gente lo siente, toda mi gente caliente, toda mi gente lo siente. Toda mi gente suena, en la favela suena, el techo se me llena. sacúdete. Vamos, dale pues, vamos allá, muévete. Muévelo como solo tú lo sabes. Así es, pon las manos en la cabeza y sacúdete. Sacúdete, 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 mira, sacúdete.
Action.
Back here from Icon Stadium, where after one half of play, New York City FC 2 and Atlanta United 2 knotted at 1 goal apiece in a first half that had chances, but largely was a stalemate. We jump into the standings in the Eastern Conference. It is a gridlocked table out east at the moment. We've mentioned just 8 points separate first place FC Cincinnati for 9th place Chattanooga. So there is plenty of room for movement as we head in to the final 4 or 5 matches of the season for a lot of these clubs. The clinching scenarios are minimal as well, just given how close it is. Out west, there are a number of teams that can clinch. There are a number of teams that already have as well. But FC Cincinnati is the only team with potential to clinch this weekend, and they would need to win with help from others in order to do so. Otherwise, it's still all up for grabs. Despite so many of the top 5-6 teams having bright moments, there has been a lack of consistency, especially from about 4 through 12, and that's made things very tight. Well, on the subject of crucial matches in Next Pro in terms of the playoff cut line, let's just jump into the Matchweek 26 schedule here. We begin things on Sunday, pick things back up on Sunday, we should say, with Chicago Fire 2 hosting FC Cincinnati. If Cincinnati wins that, and again gets help from a number of other teams, they could be the first team in the East to clinch a playoff berth. As you look throughout the rest of this schedule, Crown Legacy and Orlando City, a big battle in the top 6, a 6-pointer right around the playoff line, and then heading further down, Inter Miami 2 needing a victory to keep pace in the top 8 against a struggling Huntsville team, but that Huntsville environment is raucous and can prove to be a very tough place to play at times. We cap things off with a pair of 10 p.m. Eastern kickoffs between Tacoma and Timbers and Real Monarchs and the Town. That's your look at the remainder of Matchweek 26. It will be a very busy slate this weekend in MLS Next Pro. Here through 45 minutes, it's still all square between New York and Atlanta. We will take a quick breather when we return, a look at the first half stats and highlights.
Vamos, dale pues, vamos allá, muévete. Muévelo como solo tú lo sabes. Así es, pon las manos en la cabeza y sacúdete. Sacúdete, mira, sacúdete.
Listen up, all eyes on me. I'll show you who you wanna be. Hey. Yeah, yeah, hey. Oh, wow, wow, wow. It's going down, down. You don't want to miss that. It's the new sound. It's the new sound. It's the new sound.
Toda mi gente lo siente. 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 Toda mi gente caliente. Toda mi gente lo siente. Toda mi gente suena. En la favela suena. El techo se me llena. Toda mi gente lo siente.
Action.
We welcome you back here on Randall's Island in New York City, where it's even at halftime between New York and Atlanta United 2. A first half in which chances were largely at a premium. Let's take a look, though, at some of the standout moments from the opening 45 minutes. Atlanta got off to a fast start, created a number of attractive half chances. This perhaps the biggest early on. Nick Firmino having his shot clatter off of the defender in Rio Hope Gund. And then from there, Dominic Chongqui pushing on and ushering that wide. Then New York started to twist the screws. Oravalo cutting this back for Azam Ruiz. Thought maybe he should have been a little more clinical with that effort. And then from there, New York continuing to surge forward, this time through Julian Locker. There was a couple costly giveaways, and this was the opening goal for Atlanta. You see Firmino here breaking on the far side. He picks out Luke Brennan well, a clinical finish with his head in the 18th minute, and that put the Five Stripes in front. But 5 minutes later, New York had the instant response. It came by a Ronald Oravalo. May have gotten some assistance, though, from the defender. It's just cut across. He runs this over the goal line. It does take a touch, it seems, off Matt Edwards, but as things stand, it is his goal. There is your look at the first half stats. Even on the shot front, possession battle slightly skews in New York's direction, and they've been a little more clinical and accurate with their shooting. But the most important stat, of course, is the 1-1 scoreline. And when you factor in the number of those shots on target that had a legitimate chance of going in for both teams, it was very few. In fact, Atlanta's only shot on target was the goal, and New York had a number of opportunities that they frankly just directed right at Jaden Hibbert. So they've only properly tested him once, and that was the one that trickled over the line. That's your look at the bigger picture of that first half here from Icon Stadium. Well, we welcome you back into the picturesque venue on Randall's Island, a venue built in the 1930s that has hosted more than 200,000 high school, college, and professional athletes. It's best known, of course, for its status as a track venue. However, it obviously can host football matches like it is doing today. And it will host a number of other key events throughout the greater New York area over the course of this year and beyond. So many standout track athletes, the likes of Jesse Owens, Usain Bolt, and Noah Lyles have all run in this venue. A 5,000-seat stadium that hosts New York City FC 2 for the first time tonight. Second half underway, all to play for here from Randall's Island. We welcome you back in to beautiful New York City. Picturesque temperatures. There's a cold front coming into the Northeast, it seems, over the coming weeks, although all of the players seem relatively comfortable with the climate at this moment. Locker with the early cutback, stabbed away out of trouble only as far as Owusu. New York picking up right where they left off, trying to break down a back line of Atlanta that has been surprisingly obdurate tonight. Elias. Rosansky has options to switch the play and picks out Oravalo, who was the standout man in that first half for New York. Calera. Lopez with space to cross, driving it towards the back stick, and there's no white shirt there to greet it. Well, if you're just joining us, we thank you for tuning in. Sam Goldfarb saying hello from Icon Stadium, one of the historic venues in New York City. It's all square after a first half of play. Luke Brennan opening the scoring in the 18th minute. Ronald Oravalo leveling things 5 minutes later, and that's where we stand at this current moment. A clash of the utmost importance for both these teams, but particularly Atlanta, a team that entered today 7 points off playoff pace with 5 matches remaining on their schedule. All 3 points in every match are crucial going forward here. Now, if they were to lose tonight, things would get extremely complex for them in the playoff hunt. If they were to secure multiple points, be it via a win or a penalty shootout victory, things would still look decently attractive for them getting points on the road. When you look at their remaining schedule, it is somewhat appealing. They get to host Huntsville next week before heading to Crown Legacy, although the last 2 matches are against a pair of projected playoff sides in Inter Miami 2 and at Union 2. Given the way Philadelphia's played this summer, you would not fancy Atlanta to get a result on the road there. Although in Next Pro, depending on personnel changes, anything can happen at this stage of the season. It's an Atlanta side that has thrown the big guns out there in search of 3 points. We mentioned the 3 first-teamers that they've put into the fold, with the first team not playing a league match this week. Steve Cook mentioned it would be a more experienced side, a more battle-tested squad. But at times there has seemed to be a bit of a disconnect. Mosquera trying to outwit Lopez, and it falls for Brennan. Brought down in the area. The referee is unmoved by his collapse to the deck. Elias. Well, Brennan was writhing in a bit of pain when he went down. He still has not tracked back. Aravallo toward the byline now, and a cross that is far too close to Jaden Hibbert. They will now come back to Brennan, who is still down in the opposing penalty area. And this is the last sight you want to see if you're an Atlanta supporter. A young man who opened the scoring tonight and has been on the fringes of the first team for quite some time now. And on the other side, Mosquera lying on the deck as well. A pair of players were down after that recent interchange. When Mosquera, the first teamer, still on the pitch. It's good to see Brennan back up and good to continue. He went down writhing in pain after the challenge in the box. Mosquera's not as lucky though. Well, here's the interchange. You see Mosquera take a shot to the head. Then this is the challenge that leaves Brennan down. It seemed he was dealing with some sort of ailment to his knee, but he's back up and good to continue. Mosquera goes down at the end of that build. Just hitting the back of the head and still lying on the deck. A young man at just 23 years of age who has had his moments with the first team. He's made almost 50 appearances and is playing in his first competitive start since recovering from a meniscus tear. He's back to his feet and seems to be at least desiring to continue. And it's a question now of whether the physios give him the all clear. His only appearance since that meniscus tear came as a second half substitute at LA Galaxy on August 24th. He's been on the subs bench since recovering from that knee injury. And it seems he would like to remain a player in this match. Due to the off-field treatment rule, he'll be forced to sit on the touchline for a couple minutes. The Next Pro rules that are in action to reduce gamesmanship. If a physio is required to come on the pitch to treat an injury. If the team does not desire to make a change, they will be forced to play a man down for 2 minutes, all part of Next Pro's initiatives to reduce gamesmanship and time wasting in the sport. And mind you, they have been very successful at that. So much so that MLS has even put it in on a trial basis at times. Back underway here from Icon Stadium. Bednarski. Long ball towards Arevalo. Has been a man on a mission this evening. Calera, and the return ball his way was far too overweighted. We've mentioned Atlanta. It's a up and down stretch in terms of opponent quality in their final 4 matches. For New York, it is more of the same. They go on the road to Toronto, a side that is just lingering on the fringes of the playoff hunt next week. And then from there, they end September with a brutal stretch. Cincinnati and Philadelphia. So result in this game, 3 points in this game especially, would prove quite crucial to reduce the pressure on them in those later 2 matches to close the month. They finished with Huntsville at home on decision day. Atlanta, one of the few teams without a decision day fixture. They finish their schedule by September 29th. It's an awkward clearance here from Barraza. It does fall to Lopez. Went out of play though before he could claim. Firmino. Still looking to grow into this match. Low cross. It's a clumsy clearance and one that nearly fell to Mosquera, who is now back on the pitch and good to continue. A welcome sight for all involved with the Atlanta organization. Edwards. Brennan. That's clever. And now space to run into. Takes a tumble, and Rosansky, the man penalized. He may see his name in the book, and that he does. A cynical tackle, but a required one, and he pays the price with a caution. Well, the second yellow card shown to a New York player tonight. He's wrong-footed here, has no choice but to sideswipe him. And that is enough to draw the elite official, Stephanie McFarland's ire. And also sets up Atlanta for an inviting free kick. Mosquera is one of the 2 men lingering. It's floated towards the back post. Ran all the way through. Almost towards Firmino. Pulls for Carlton, and deflected routinely into Barraza's gloves. Armas, a former Oregon State man who captained his Beaver side to a College Cup, the first in program history a season ago. Earned him a look in the 2nd round of the MLS Super Draft this past year. A look ahead for Firmino. It's read well by Samuel Owusu. Lopez. One of the many young defenders Matt Pilkington has raved about. It's a New York side that we've mentioned brings through talent as the season evolves. And they've found some hidden gems in the likes of Camille Azam-Ruiz and Johnny Lopez especially. Azam-Ruiz is still looking to make his imprint on this one though. Arevalo, space to uncork, and got underneath it far too much on that particular attempt. Well, there's Jaden Hibbert. Had his ups and downs in that first half. Not much he could frankly do about the goal. Had to come and close down the crosser. And that left his back post open and vulnerable. He did nearly get caught out on the stroke of halftime. It was a gutsy effort to try to come out to the edge of the area and charge it out of trouble. It allowed Calera to have a crack at things from afar, but he was bailed out. Mosquera surging through. Mosquera! An excellent stop from Barraza. Edwin Mosquera starting to grow into it. As this unfolds, you'd figure with both teams chasing 3 points, it could become an end-to-end proceeding. Arevalo. Everything has flowed through his boots tonight. Linking with Calera now. Firmino winning it back. Trying to pick out Mosquera. The tactic is pretty clear from Steve Cook. They want to exploit Mosquera's pace and try to catch Lopez out. The young defender has done an admirable job on him so far. But still time for tired legs to set in, and 1 second in which he switches off could be met with a swift and devastating counterattack. Calera, another man who had his ups and downs in that first half. This is Piero Elias. Has evolved so much as a deep-lying playmaker this year for New York. Bednarski. It's read well in the end by Brennan. Hearing word New York is readying a change. Jonathan Jimenez is getting set to enter. Man who's missed the last 2 games. That will be a welcome sight for fans of the Pigeons. 8 goals in all competitions to his name, and that will add considerable firepower on the front line. Hearing word that Locker will be the man to vacate. So that front 3 of Azam Ruiz, Locker, and Arevalo will definitely be a troublesome sight for that Atlanta back line. Elias awaiting support. Didn't quite hit it nicely enough for Locker. We've hit the hour mark here from Icon Stadium. Still a stalemate in the opening 15 minutes of this second half. Mosquera's down after that challenge. Brennan in space. It's still Luke Brennan. An excellent effort from Owusu to close him down. And now the substitution will take place. It will be Locker who vacates. It is the former University of North Carolina man, Jonathan Jimenez, to replace him. And who got off to a flying start to this season at 23 years of age. 8 goals and 5 assists in all competitions, and he makes his long-awaited return to the side after a pair of matches outside the matchday squad. We will see what he can provide in the final half hour. Here's the cross from Chong Kui. It nearly found the dome of Wolf. Now comes loose for Brennan. Linking well with Wolf, and space to cross. Dinking it to the back post. Firmino off the crossbar. Carlton deflected out of danger. New York City bailed out by the woodwork. What a chance this is from Atlanta. It's a perfectly weighted cross from Brennan. Firmino winning the foot race to it and just kissing it off the bar. And from there, Carlton's effort denied. Multiple men with visions of their names up in lights. Both of those visions squandered in rapid succession. And New York level by the skin of their teeth. Jimenez now winning a corner for the boys in blue. Fans, this portion of the match is brought to you by St. John's University, the official undergraduate partner of New York City FC 2. We're beyond the hour mark, and Atlanta carving out chances in rapid succession, all via the boots of Luke Brennan. Firmino off the bar, Carlton shot blocked. New York remaining level, in swinger from Aravallo. Comes loose to Brennan, where he has flourished on the break. Switching the play picturesquely to Mosquera. And the deflection took the steam out of that cross. Cleared only as far as Armas. Firmino. Beginning to see more of him in this second half. Carlton. Edwards. Well, remember, if this ends level, this goes to spot kicks to determine an extra point in the MLS Next Pro Eastern Conference standings. We are a long way before we reach that reality. And if the last 5 minutes or so is any indication, the match seems to be opening up a touch. Carlton, not quite on the same wavelength as Firmino. Well, it is a temperate night in New York. 6:30 local time at this point. 75 degrees and partly cloudy. Can't ask for better football weather. The New York faithful will be hoping for a slightly better result here. A side that has won just one of its last 6, despite only losing twice in that span. For a team with clear intentions of cracking the top 4 and securing a home field playoff match, they cannot afford to drop points in matches like this. The Atlanta players seem less than thrilled that half of the men in white shirts have flocked to Matt Pilkington. The referee's moving action on. It's become a makeshift hydration break here. Chongqui. The long ball towards Mosquera. It's got good weight to it. Mosquera shrugging Lopez out of traffic and paid the price for it. An overzealous challenge between the two men. Edwin Mosquera getting off without the second booking. It was risky given he sits on a yellow. You see him just try to out-wrestle Lopez to this ball. And the shove in the back did the job for the lead official, Sarah McFarlane. Stephanie McFarlane. She's our lead official tonight. Her assistants, Alexandru Folsea, Jennifer Dumaine, Jonathan Luke, the fourth official. Stephanie McFarland has had a stop-start match to manage. She's towed the line well between cautioning booking-worthy offenses and not showing the yellow unnecessarily. With the kind of match it's been hard for either team to get a rhythm. Just constant contact between the 18s and very little fluid football. Azam Ruiz looking to change that and finds the back of the net. A lovely strike and New York in front. Well, out of thin air, Camille Azam-Ruiz picking out the far left corner. A terrific strike. No one closes him down, and no chance for Hibbert. And just like that, the young academy product adding a 7th in 14 matches. What a revelation the Iona graduate has been. A man who was a first-team All-Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference selection a season ago. Won the Golden Boot with 14 goals. He has carried over that goal scoring to his first professional club consistently. A 7th goal in 14 appearances. And a 4th goal contribution in the last 5. And just like that, a New York side with its sights on the top 4 finds itself in a position to surge towards the top of the Eastern Conference table. Calera. Jimenez. Elias. Read well by Edwards. One back by Lopez. New York with the wind in its sails at the moment. Jimenez darting inside. Calera. The return ball just off kilter. It falls to Elias. Well, if you're just joining us, Camille Azam-Ruiz providing additional heroics. A 67th minute strike, a well-placed goal from just inside the penalty area, putting New York in front. And they push on again. Owusu. Azam-Ruiz wanted the run of Elias, a run that never came. And now Wolf is clattered down to the deck. Rio Hope Gund will enter the referee's book. So the yellow shown to Hope Gund after that challenge on Tyler Wolf. Fans, this portion of the match is brought to you by Adidas, the official kit supplier of New York City FC 2. 70 minutes gone. Camille Azam-Ruiz's 67th minute strike, a lovely strike that nestled into the left side netting, putting New York in front for the first time tonight. And as things stand, New York in line for a crucial 3 points in the Eastern Conference tussle tonight. It would put them level on points with Cincinnati and Philadelphia and move them into the top 3 for the first time this year. Would be behind Cincy and Philly both on total wins. That is the tiebreaker. Both teams with more wins than New York has at this current moment. Still plenty of time for Atlanta to rectify the run of proceedings. But a defeat here would be devastating to their dwindling playoff hopes. A side that entered tonight 7 points outside the playoff places with 5 matches remaining. That gap only threatens to increase with results elsewhere taking place on Sunday. Being potentially 9 or 10 points out of the playoffs with 4 matches to go is seemingly insurmountable. Barraza claims this. Kept in play craftily. This is Edwards. Shrugged off it by Jimenez. Calera. Elias. Aravallo surging ahead. Going to work on Chong Kui. Can New York find the final blow? Calera tries it himself. It deflects out to Bednarski. And Edwards winning it back. Only briefly, though. Hearing word Atlanta making a change. It will be Kareem Timimi, Atlanta's leading goal scorer, who enters the fray for Matt Edwards. A definitively attack-minded approach for Steve Cook. The man who scored the winner off the bench against Chattanooga on Sunday night. Now making his first cameo in this match with 17 minutes to play. In place of the right back Edwards, who was not venturing forward much tonight. You'd figure a shift in formation may transpire as well, given the swap. Calera. Timimi is one of the more experienced players in this Atlanta United 2 system. A 28-year-old out of France who played at Georgia Gwinnett College in the NAIA ranks. Was an All-American there, second teamer, after bagging 36 goals in 47 career appearances. Has worked his way up to MLS Next Pro, has adopted the role of leader, and Steve Cook has praised him for setting his ego aside to come off the bench these last few months and provide a super sub punch up front. He will be a major threat to watch, leading the line for Atlanta United 2 this season, especially down the stretch with the Five Stripes desperate for points. Bednarski. Here is Elias. Jimenez cuts inside, not on the same wavelength as Calera. And Owusu taking the late challenge from Timimi. He may have just earned himself a booking. That he did. His first involvement is Atlanta's second yellow card of the night. And it's safe to say, he well and truly earned that yellow card. A little chatting after the challenge, and then did not move an inch out of the range of that quick restart. Into the final quarter of an hour from Icon Stadium. New York's first ever match in one of its new home parks, and they find themselves in a very favorable position at this current moment. Have flipped the script from a 1-0 deficit to a 2-1 advantage. Jimenez cutting it across, runs all the way through to the oncoming Kareem Timimi. Picking out Mosquera only briefly. Timimi did enjoy a stint back in the lineup throughout much of August, but has primarily been a super sub in the summertime. And Steve Cook has mentioned how it's taken him to set his personal aspirations aside. Obviously, being one of the older players in MLS Next Pro, he wants to crack the first team ranks. But he has bought into the approach as a super sub and has excelled in that regard. 8 goals to his name this year, which paces all Atlanta players. Hearing word Atlanta is readying 2 more changes. Mosquera is one of the men to make way. Chong Kui's cross. There's contact in the area. It falls all the way through to Brennan. Darting towards the touchline. And he lost his footing in the process. Carlton. Is there late drama in this one, or has New York done enough to wrap up a coveted 3 points? Atlanta's quest for a postseason push would become dashed at the source if they come up empty-handed tonight. Here's the ball through to Brennan. Flag stays down. Brennan, the heavy touch to take it beyond the goalkeeper, paid the price. Barraza putting him off just enough. And it's this heavy touch which costs him a potential equalizer. The oncoming Owusu doing enough to usher it out of play. 2 changes for Atlanta. One of those, Rodrigo Neri, a man who has hit the ground running since joining the club from the Valencia youth ranks. He replaces Edwin Mosquera. Meanwhile, Matias Gallardo will slot in place of Tyler Wolff, who was a mere spectator for large spells of tonight. Gallardo will likely play Mosquera's role, and Neri will move up front, an out-and-out striker who has 3 goals in 7 appearances already for the Five Stripes. Corner kick coming for New York, and Atlanta whipping it in. Falls to Carlton. No real trouble for Barraza between the sticks. Although the referee said it took another deflection, so another Atlanta corner in the offing. This one is taken short. Chong Kui blasting it forward. Comes loose to Calera, who's knocking it ahead into space. He now wins it back. New York is a team that has occasionally struggled to hold on to points from winning positions. The Hudson River Derby in mid-August is a prime example, albeit down to 10 men for large spells of that match. And then later on in the schedule as well, had a 2-0 lead over Chicago Fire 2 at Belson Stadium 3 weeks ago. That went begging in a 2-2 draw. They must rely on improved defensive play down the stretch here. Timimi laying it off, and comes loose for Calera. And this is Arevalo. Timimi's on a yellow, and that was a ferocious tackle at that. Perhaps fortunate to get off scot-free. Well, the referee is reaching toward her pocket. Instead, now just giving a talking to Timimi. But felt he had his heart in his throat for a brief moment there. Fans, this portion of the match is brought to you by Etihad Airways, the official airline partner of New York City FC 2. Inside the final 10 minutes from Icon Stadium on Randall's Island on a picturesque, perfect early fall evening in New York. New York holding a 2-1 lead courtesy of Azam Ruiz's 67th minute strike, but looking to land the final blow and end all doubt. Bednarski, he will lose out, and it comes to Gallardo. Brennan. Here is Firmino. had his header clatter off the crossbar before Azam Ruiz's go-ahead tally. You wonder how that could have changed things. Brennan crosses. Falls to the feet of Arevalo. Goes on a clever run forward. As things stand, New York level on points with table-topping Cincinnati and Philadelphia. They would be in third by the end of the night, just 1 point clear of Columbus Crew 2. They would also put themselves in a prime position to shore up a top 4 spot. Jimenez slithering to the penalty area. Azam Ruiz went down for the time being. It's one back by Jimenez. Calera picking out Arevalo, who goes down in the box. And now some frustration from Efrain Morales. He may pay the price for that decision. Shoving off on Arevalo after the fact. And a hand in the face area, maybe fortunate to just see yellow. The fans certainly have expressed their desire for it to be red. This is borderline. A different referee on a different day gives this red for violent conduct. You see Arevalo go down to very little contact. I think that's what frustrates Efrain Morales. And then he goes down again. You see here just trying to get the ball. Well, it was unwarranted. And the New York City players don't like it. Either way, Morales perhaps fortunate to escape his marching orders. Stephanie McFarland showing some remorse for the 20-year-old center back. If Atlanta is to procure an equalizer, there will be talks about whether they should have been playing these final 6 minutes and change of men down. Morales, though, escaping with just a yellow card for a challenge, for a action that was by no means excessively violent, but certainly unnecessary. And the lead official, Stephanie McFarland, is still talking with her linesman at the moment. Well, there is your look at picturesque Randall's Island in the background. A scenic view here at Icon Stadium overlooking the city. It's a beautiful venue, this. The first time New York is playing here in its history. New York is now making a change. It appears Azam Ruiz's day has come to a close, and he exits to a deserved applause. It is his 67th minute strike which makes the difference, and Nicholas Kapanadze is the man that replaces him, making his 8th appearance of the year. Someone who has emerged from the academy and has started to factor in more frequently for Matt Pilkington's squad. A like-for-like change up front. Kapanadze with 1 goal. In his first 8 appearances of the year. He looked long here for Neri. A bit too much physical play on the back shoulder of the last defender. Kapanadze, a goal and an assist. Both came as a second-half substitute in the 5-2 victory over Orlando City B on August 28th. You've seen his confidence grow with each passing match for the boys in blue. He now slots up front for the remainder of the 90 minutes. Firmino. Inside the final 5 minutes of action from Icon Stadium. A historic day at a historic venue for New York City FC 2. As of now, they're in line to mark it with a hard-fought victory. Still with plenty of a storm left to weather, though. Steve Cook's side will not go down without a fight, especially given the postseason implications at play for them. All but eliminated with a defeat tonight, especially if results don't skew their way on Sunday for other teams. Firmino. Neri, who spent ample time across a bevy of Spanish academies, including the Atletico Madrid ranks. Was a star at the academy level for Madrid before moving to Valencia. Gallardo. Comes loose to Chong Kui. Been an Iron Man on the flanks today. Armas. Looking forward for Firmino. He got his head to it, but couldn't quite steer it on target. And just like that, we have hit the final minute of the initial 90. A match that had its moments, but has been, in large part, a knockdown, drag-it-out war. A war of attrition tonight. A war of attrition that New York is in line to win, assuming they can cling on to this narrow advantage. Arevalo, New York's first goal scorer tonight. Plays it through towards Capanadze. Now falls for Carlton. Gallardo surging into space. And nearly picked out Rodrigo Neri. Hearing word it will be 6 minutes of stoppage time. An audible groan is about to emanate throughout this facility from the New York faithful. Calera. Calera just ran out of real estate. Does Atlanta have one final bit of late dramatics left over from last week? Or is this where the magic ends? Timimi. Chong Kui. Arevalo down on the pitch. And the challenge from Timimi drawing the referee's ire. New York players down, dealing with what seems to be cramp. And from afar, it looks to be Johnny Lopez, who is back to his feet before the physios can come on. These final 4.5 minutes will feel like an eternity to the New York faithful in attendance tonight. Got a decent turnout for their first game at Icon Stadium. It's been a match they've had circled for quite some time on the calendar. With them having to share with St. John's, it presents opportunities like this. Calera, it was a flashing effort and one that never really troubled Hibbert at the far stick. Carlton. Still looking to put his stamp on this one after a sensational display a week ago. Armas looking for Chong Kui. Right towards Lopez. And this is Arevalo. One back confidently by Morales. Brennan scored Atlanta's lone tally tonight and has been perhaps their brightest bulb. Firmino. Gallardo. Chipping it towards the back post. It falls for Chong Kui. Flicked along towards Timimi. Driven across. It's Brennan. Cross deflected out of danger and goes out for an Atlanta corner. The pressure continuing to mount for the visitors. And Gallardo standing over this. Within swing. Towards the heart of the area. It's headed in. Atlanta's found the equalizer. And they may have salvaged more than a point tonight. It appears Efrain Morales, the man at the center of all of the controversy 10 minutes ago, has provided the leveler. A perfect in-swinging corner. And yes, it is Morales, the 20-year-old center back, heading it home for the visitors. Atlanta 2, New York 2. And in stoppage time once again, late match heroics rescuing the Five Stripes. There is a stunned silence in Icon Stadium. As things stand, we will go to penalties. Jimenez. Jonathan Jimenez! Hibbert equal to it. Well, how about this storyline? Efrain Morales, the young center back, bagging just his second goal of the year at a pivotal moment for Atlanta. One that effectively may keep them in the playoff hunt for the time being. Elias. Calera. And still Piero Elias. Jimenez. One final corner on deck for New York. Is there a late winner on the cards? We've hit the 96-minute threshold. The 6 minutes of added time have passed. Arevalo within swing. And now it comes loose for Gallardo. This is Brennan. Neri was looking for the run of Gallardo. And that is where we come to a conclusion. New York squandering points at the death. And for the second consecutive week, Atlanta United 2 scoring a heroic goal in second half stoppage time. It ends 2-2 after 90 minutes. A penalty shootout to decide a recipient of an extra point in the standings. Before we get to that penalty shootout, let's find out how penalties work in MLS Next Pro.
All right, MLS store, I need something fresh and clean. Let's see what you got. I need that in my size. It's not like this. Cream on cream. The fit is cold. I'm ice cream. You like that?
At the end of regulation, since the teams are tied on the scoreboard, the match will extend to a shootout, with each team having 5 attempts. If the teams are tied after 5 attempts, they will go to sudden death. The shootout winner will receive an extra point in the regular season standings.
Well, there is your look at the point system in MLS Next Pro. Let's take a look at the 90 minutes we just witnessed. What a 90 minutes it was. Atlanta getting off to the flying start with Luke Brennan opening the scoring. A pinpoint cross from Firmino, Brennan placing it into the top left corner. And that got Atlanta off to a brilliant start in the 18th minute. But then 5 minutes later, New York procuring the equalizer. It comes via the boots of Ronald Arevalo after Azam Ruiz effectively supplied it. Arevalo wrestling it over the goal line. And then from there, after the restart, it seemed New York was well and truly on its way to a much-needed 3 points in its top 4 push. Camille Azam Ruiz, this lovely strike putting them in front in the 67th minute. And from there, it seemed New York was cruising. A number of opportunities to put it to bed. But then in the 95th minute, Efrain Morales, the man at the center of potential red card controversy just 10 minutes prior, scoring the equalizer to force this shootout. And now an extra point in the standings on the line for New York. It would be a brutal break. They would still sit in the top 4 if they don't secure the additional point. But they would squander an opportunity to head level on points with the 2 top teams in the East and further solidify their position. Meanwhile, for Atlanta, if they are to get on to 31 points, yes, they stay in 12th, but they find themselves just 5 points south of the playoff line. It becomes a more manageable proposition with 4 matches to go for them to potentially sneak into the playoffs, especially given their recent form. Well, here is your look again at the Eastern Conference standings, and it will tell you the full story about how crucial both that Efrain Morales goal was, but this additional point could be in the penalty shootout. New York entered the day at 4th on 40 points. They were pretty much slated to head into 3rd until that equalizer. Now the best they can do is level on points with Crew 2 in the 3 spot. And also there would be far less of a gap between themselves and the 8-9 spots. Meanwhile, Atlanta, they've now added an additional point to go on 30 points. They're 6 points south of that 8 spot. They win this penalty shootout, it's a 5-point gap. And depending on results throughout the rest of the weekend, they could find themselves in striking distance in 2 or 3 matches' time. Again, the fact they're not coming up empty-handed tonight is crucial. That 7-point gap will be shrunk by the end of the evening, no doubt. So we are just about set for spot kicks. It is Luis Barraza's first foray into penalties for New York City FC 2. He will start between the sticks for the Boys in Blue, or the Bronx Blues as they're better known. Well, it's such an intriguing story. Efrain Morales, the equalizer. What a heroic header it was. But also at the center of a potential red card. There were a lot of fans in this building valiantly appealing for one after he shoved Ronald Arevalo in the face. He escapes anything beyond a yellow, and it may have been a harsh red to be fair, but it gives him the lifeline he needs to bury that tying header. And we begin our penalty shootout with Javier Armas, a man who has made all 8 of his previous attempts. He is the go-to penalty taker and the talisman of this 5-striped side in MLS Next Pro. On the other side of things, it is a man in his first penalty shootout, Luis Barraza. How will he fare in this environment? It's Armas and Barraza to begin the shootout. And Armas converts. 9 of 9 now on the season. And if you know anything about his calmness at the spot, you wouldn't have it any other way. Perfect placement, nestling it into the bottom right corner, and not much chance in the end for the goalkeeper, Barraza. And that sets New York up on the penalty spot. Jake Rosansky to begin things for New York. A man who converted a penalty in the Chicago Fire shootout in late August. And he does so here as well. All square through one round of penalties, and both cool as you like. Hibbert guesses the wrong way, but this was so well struck anyways, he may not have had a chance. Placing it perfectly into the right side of the net. And that sets up Alan Carlton on the spot to continue things for Atlanta. A man who's 2 of 3 on the season on penalties. His lone miss coming against Orlando City B in late June. And well placed. Not a lot of power behind it, but Carlton doing the job on the placement front. It did bloop a bit, but Barraza guessing the wrong way, and it was precision from Alan Carlton to keep Atlanta perfect through 2 rounds. And that sets up Taylor Calera, who has been a go-to option up front all season for Matt Pilkington's side. He's 4 of 6 from the spot this year, but is known for his unflappable goal-scoring repertoire. It's saved by Hibbert. Advantage Atlanta through 2 rounds, but he may have been off his line. He does come off his line early, it seems, but the question is that left foot planted to the line? The referees are conversing about it, and they will make them retake the penalty. So Calera bailed out on what was not the best of spot kicks, and has an opportunity to keep New York on level ground in this shootout. It appeared close. The right foot of Jaden Hibbert was the question. The line judge said it was off. At the second time of asking, it's the same result. Hibbert once again guessing the right direction, and this penalty very underwhelming. It appeared Calera went for placement, but he didn't pick out the far left corner quickly enough or well enough. An advantage Atlanta through 2 rounds. A side that toppled New York on penalties in their first meeting on May 3rd. They have an opportunity to do so again, as Matias Gallardo attempts just his 3rd penalty of the season. He is 1 of his previous 2. An Atlanta side with a terrific record in shootouts. They've won 3 of their previous 5. Looking for yet another additional point in the table. Gallardo has a chance to properly ramp up the pressure here. The native Argentine is awaiting the referee's signal. Spent much of his youth in the River Plate youth ranks. The same club his father, Marcelo, played for. Hearing word that one of the New York players was getting looked at by the medical staff. So that is the reason for this ongoing delay. Stephanie McFarland still instructing Gallardo. Well, there's the man who's been at the center of quite a bit tonight, Efrain Morales. Started at center back. He scored the game-tying header. just a matter of moments after a controversial yellow was issued his way. And now we appear set to continue. Atlanta with the advantage after Calera was denied by Hibbert. It is on Gallardo to continue the pressure. Gallardo against Barraza. And Gallardo, that is terrific placement. Not a lot of ferocity behind it, but picked out the left corner with so much aplomb. Top bins. No chance in the end for Barraza. And Atlanta can truly ramp up the pressure now. Samuel Owusu effectively has to make this to keep New York alive. They would be on quite the tightrope otherwise. A man who is a perfect 5 of 5 from the spot this year. Make it 6 of 6. Unfazed right down the middle. And for the time being, New York stays in it. Well, there's no run up. Just lashes at it. Goes down the middle. Hibbert guesses the wrong direction. And Nick Firmino heading to the spot, looking to reestablish the Atlanta advantage. Potentially to compound it. A man who hasn't attempted many spot kicks this year, but has buried both of his previous attempts. And he makes it 3 of 3 this time. Goes top left and places it very well. And the pressure is truly on New York now. Didn't quite pick out the top left corner, but it had the altitude required, and Barraza gets low anyways. No harm, no foul for Atlanta. They are on the brink of yet another shootout victory this season. It is the goalkeeper to take. Luis Barraza, who must bury this to keep New York alive. What a decision from Matt Pilkington. Barraza against Hibbert, and Barraza skies it. Atlanta has won the penalty shootout. A match in which New York squanders an opportunity at all 3 points, and Atlanta is the team that leaves with multiple tonight from Icon Stadium. A sour taste in the collective mouth of this New York side. A team that was a matter of minutes from securing all 3 points and moving into a 3-way tie atop the Eastern Conference table. They are forced to settle for just the 1. Meanwhile, Atlanta now with just 5 points south of postseason contention. What a turn of events here at Icon Stadium tonight. Fans, it is now time for tonight's man of the match. It is Camille Azam-Ruiz of New York City FC 2. He is presented by Adidas. Well, it was a lovely strike to put New York in front in the 67th minute. Just charging at it, no chance for Jaden Hibbert. And at that current moment, it looked like New York was on their way to all 3 points. But late events from Efrain Morales changing the tenor of affairs. And New York, instead of leaving with all of the spoils, leave with a mere fraction of them. We thank you for joining us tonight. New York squandering a chance at the 3 points. Atlanta prevailing on penalties after Efrain Morales' late equalizer. For our entire MLS Next Pro broadcast crew, I'm Sam Goldfarb. Once again, our final score is 2-2 between New York and Atlanta. Don't forget you can watch MLS Next Pro all season long in MLS Season Pass on Apple TV and on MLSNextPro.com. Have a great rest of your night. From New York, signing off.
This copyrighted broadcast of Major League Soccer may not be retransmitted, reproduced, or rebroadcast without the express written consent of Major League Soccer.